All right, so I want to do a couple things before we get going here. Let's start in the main CSS. We did that with the list items, the hover and active. Whenever it lights up with green, these are called pseudo tags, and so the pseudo tag is the hover or the active to the list item, and we can do all sorts of stuff with that. Let's look at our images, for example. So if I'm looking at my images, I can say, okay, if I hover over you, what I want you to have is I'm going to give you a box shadow, and I'm going to give you a box shadow like this. Whoops, whoops. And it's going to be 2 pixels, 2 pixels, and it's going to be black. But when I click on it and make it active, so my mouse activates it, I'm going to have this change to a blue box shadow. So let's see what that does. I hover over it and you can see the box shadow pull up, and now when I click it, it turns to blue, right? So I can turn it kind of on and off. Now you can do that with all sorts of different things. This Timbers mock-up page up there, that was, let's see what it was. Oh, that was in an H1. So I can do the same thing with the H1. I can say if I hover over it, I want it to have a font size of, let's say, 0.8 em, so I can make it smaller. And watch what happens. When I get over it, it gets small, which is kind of an annoying thing for the website, but basically you can, you know, all sorts of different things. And for like these little list items, I have like a little border color. So I can do, for my list items, if I hover over it, I can have the border border color change to a, let's say, pink. Man, it's going to be an obnoxiously ugly looking page. So when I go over it, you can see that it changes colors. So there's kind of infinite ideas with that. All right, so I want to do a little bit more work with my website. So far it only has pictures. I want to change that. I want to get some text. So it's kind of annoying to have to type out a whole bunch of text. And imagine if you're making a website for somebody and they don't know exactly what they want to say in the website, but they want to see a sketch of the website. So we need to basically have a way of creating fake text, a lot of it. This is Lorem Ipsum, and it's basically fake text. And so you can like say, okay, I want like 3 paragraphs, and it generates this kind of like Latin nonsense, basically. And you can choose hipster ipsum, so you can say like, oh, I want three ones, and it'll come up with a whole bunch of hipster nonsense, and that way you can use that fake text for your stuff. I'm going to choose bacon ipsum, and I'm just going to steal a couple paragraphs. I want all meat, make it spicy, sure, so give me those paragraphs. All right, here we go. So I'm just going to copy and paste those 2 fake paragraphs, and I'm going to use it for my website. So inside my section, below here, I want to go like this. All right. Do you guys recognize that song I was just whistling? If you do, let me know. All right. Okay, so I have my text in there, and I can refresh my site, and there it is. Now, what I want to start doing is being able to come up with different formats on my website where I can maybe potentially have this text kind of move up along here and maybe push the photos to the right. Right now I can only work in like vertically, like first photos, then this. But if I want to do it side by side, I'm going to need a new strategy. So here's the next little lesson, and it's an important one. Whoa, get out of here. It's called div container. Now, div container is exactly that. It's a container. You'll notice that the very first thing that I'm going to do is like it's doing nothing, right? Okay, so I'm adding these little div containers. like so. Okay, cool. And nothing changed, because all a div container is an organizational tool. So this div container is just saying, all right, I want all of these images grouped together, and I want all of this text grouped together. Now, if I want to do this correctly, it needs to be like this, because this stuff should be inside that div container. Okay. So now I can call these things, and I want to separate these. So I'm going to give the first one an ID of, let's do photo space. Super cool. And that way I can edit that all by itself, and I'll give this one an ID of, you guessed it, text space. Space for the text. Awesome. Still, very boring. No changes going on there. Right? Well, let's see what we can do now. What I want to do is I want to have them line up side by side. So I'm going to go to my CSS, and I'm going to say, let's go photo space. And I'm going to have it have a width of 50%, and I'm going to have it float to the, let's say I'm going to have the photo space float to the left, and I'm going to have the text space, let me get that more towards the center of the screen there for you, and I'm going to have the text space have a width of 50%, and I'm going to have it float to the right. Now it's going to be a little bit tough to see, so I'm going to give them a background color. And you know what, you might as well lean into the site being ugly. So photo space is going to have a background of brown, and text space is going to have a background of pink. Cool, let's see what that looks like. If I have this floating to the left and it's 50% of the page, and this is 50% of the page, they should have enough room to go side by side. And look at that, it does work. That brown is not a very convincing brown. Now 50% means it's going to work out exactly, so what I probably want to do is tone it down a little bit here, and let's do like 48%, and that'll give me a margin of 1% all the way around. And just to be fair, I'll do the exact same thing to this one. Okay, so now they should have a little bit of space. Now you'll see if you look around here, these letters like bump up right to the side. So if I want to provide space on the outside of an element, then that's margin. Space on the inside is padding, right? So for the text space, I want to give some padding here. And let's say I'm going to give a padding of 2%. You see if I gave it that much padding, it kind of brought it to the next level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to decrease the width a little bit to like 46% and see if that allows it enough room to get in. That wasn't enough, so we'll tone it down to like 44%. And with a little bit of trial and error, we're back in there. You'll see that when I have that, the words are automatically reshifting, so they never go outside of that div container. So the div container will always contain them. Now remember, all the same rules apply. Before I did this, if I got to the really small stage, these photos should have taken up 80% of the page, right? Now they'll take up 80% of the div container. So you'll see it when I change to blue. Boom. Now they go to 80% of the div container. And now I can have the text and that stuff side by side. So with div containers, you can do all sorts of different things. You can have 3 of them, so they're going side by side by side. You can have 4 of them in a block kind of setting. They really are the next level of layouts for websites. All right, cool. I think you should know everything you need to for your next assignment.